Hello YouTubers, this is Cincinnati Reefer coming at you with a fishy tale. This is episode 1. This is an introductory video into this channel and what I'll be talking about over the course of the next, year and a half, what we'll be doing. Essentially what my plan is to do is to create a channel that gives you a video history of my experience and my journey into saltwater. I've been doing freshwater for about 3.5 years, and had known people with tanks before that and always been interested in them. And as a child we had a small tank. Looking back, I want to guess it was probably a 55 in our living room for a while, and I helped a little bit with the water change, not a whole lot. Mom didn't let us mess with them too much, but I was always interested, and I've always had a fascination with them. Well, about 3 years ago I bought an established 90-gallon tank, and it had these fish and a bunch more in it for the most part, and it was overpopulated, and the guy wasn't taking care of it enough. The nitrate levels were sky high, but I dove right in, and I bought the tank, and I turned it around, and it did quite well. And as you can see here, 3 years later, I still have most of the fish and all that kind of stuff. Now, we're going to do reviews of equipment that I've had the last 3-4 years, my experiences with them. We may talk about some equipment that I've read about and my research on them. Most of the videos will be about setup of this 210-gallon tank and being turned into a reef tank. And I've been researching them almost every night, all night long for the last 6 months or so. I don't watch TV personally, so when I say research, I mean a minimum of 3-4 hours a night, typically. Probably at least 4 nights a week for the last 6 months. So I've got some time into researching all this stuff, and hopefully it comes out well and I'm able to help some people. My motivation is twofold. One is a history, and so that I can refer back to it myself, and the second is to help people. I've gotten so much help from being on YouTube and Reef Central and other websites on the internet that I've used to help me out over the years, that I wanted to give back in some way. And I work quite a bit, and I try to juggle a lot of things, so I thought this was probably the best way for me to do it. I thought about opening threads on different websites, maybe even creating my own website to document it and stuff, and I just don't see that as a reality. I just probably wouldn't have time. So what I want to do is make these videos. They're going to be pretty raw, mostly unedited. I'll mess with them a little bit maybe if I have time, but my goal is to set the camera on a tripod most of the time and just talk to you and show you some things and go over some stuff, and hopefully I can help. I mean, you'll benefit from the research I'm doing and from the mistakes I'm making and the things that I get right, hopefully. There's a couple people on YouTube, New York Stelio, who I've been watching, among others, who has really inspired me to do this. I've gotten a lot of benefit from him, and although I may not agree with everything he says, it has led me to look into things. For instance, I thought I was dead set against deep sand beds, and I had done a lot of research in prior months about deep sand beds and the benefits and the cons and that sort of thing. And after watching his videos and seeing how adamant he was about it, and knowing that he's also a slightly obsessive compulsive type person who's also quite evidently spent a lot of time in and around the hobby, he inspired me to look into him again, which I did. I basically spent this entire weekend reading over them again and going over them, and I definitely see some benefits and I definitely see some cons, and so we'll talk about that in a future video. But it's those kinds of things that I'm getting from YouTube that and that research led me to some other things, like cryptic filtration and that sort of thing. So, which was helpful because now I plan to probably put that into my model. So, again, I've been in the hobby about probably 3 years, and it's been all freshwater so far. I do know people with saltwater tanks. It's not like I haven't been talking about them this whole time, but I was probably a little intimidated. I definitely wanted to make sure I had freshwater down before I went to saltwater, which I think is probably a good path to take, and it's probably a path a lot of people do take, it seems to me. And that's where I'm at. I've started accumulating some of the equipment already, and of course you're staring at the first piece that I bought, which was this setup here, 210 gallon tank with overflows, nice stand, nothing overly special but decent, and it should do the trick. There's a series of events going to be taking place here soon. I have two 90-gallon tanks in my living room, as well as a 20, and then I have a 10-gallon like hospital quarantine tank as well. And I'm going to break down one of the 90s. I'm going to turn it into a cichlid tank, more of a straight cichlid tank, and that's where most of these fish will go. The remaining fish will be sold off for store credit or something, or put on Craigslist here shortly, so that I can fit them back into the 90 and start my journey down a saltwater path. Along the way, I'm going to talk a lot about the products that I plan to use and the products I've researched, and then we'll talk about why I picked a certain one. Maybe that might speed up some of your research. I found that I mainly rely on the reviews. I find a product, of course I look at their website, but I'm more interested to hear from users, especially with the saltwater stuff. I found Reef Central to be very helpful in this aspect. And we'll go over that. Other than that, I don't think I have a whole lot more to tell you. I hope that you get a lot from these videos, and I hope that I can get them coming out quick enough to keep your interest. This is Cincinnati Reefer signing off on my introduction. I look forward to seeing you again soon.